A couple years ago, a massive windstorm hit New York State, where I live. And I'm talking about a serious windstorm. You could hear the trees bending and cracking, branches and leaves and lawn chairs flying by the windows. It was crazy. It sounded like my house was going to come down, but it didn't, luckily. But then, as we were sitting there listening to the howling wind, poof, everything went dead. Of course, right? Telephone lines falling down all over the place. It was a bad storm. It didn't just flicker. The power was gone. And we were just sitting there in the dark, and it started to get a little cold. And the power didn't come back. Not that night, not the next day. It was out for days. Now, I didn't have a backup generator. I didn't have any kind of backup. So I basically couldn't work. I had deadlines, and most importantly, I had videos to create, to edit. I couldn't do any videos. My whole studio was dead. There was nothing I could do. So I was dead in the water. I just couldn't make the videos that I was supposed to make. I couldn't charge my phone because, well, all the outlets were dead. But even worse than the inability to work, to get things done, was an anxiety that started to build over those several days. Before the power went out, I was in the middle of a pretty big project. So I'd spent maybe 10 hours on this, and then the power cut just like that. And of course, instantly, no warning, my computer shut off. So my first thought was, I wish I had been doing this on my laptop, but I wasn't. So then I started thinking, the power cut off. Did I lose the project file? Did it autosave? Did I just spend 10 hours editing a masterpiece that will never see the light of day? Is my hard drive corrupted? Because, when power cuts suddenly, hard drives can crash. Data can get corrupted. And so I spent the next couple days kind of just worrying if all that work was gone and not knowing. And that was not a nice feeling. That feeling of not knowing how much of my work, if any, survived. The fix for that is the Goldenmate 1000 VA UPS. Now, if you don't know what a UPS is, just a quick refresher, this means uninterruptible power supply. So, when the power cuts, it's not a backup battery that starts after your power cuts. That wouldn't fix the problem. You get continuous power. The power doesn't go out. It switches seamlessly to the backup battery. And that's very important for projects like the one I mentioned. You can save your work, you can finish up what you need to finish up, and then deal with the trees blowing all over your yard, right? You don't have to then have days of anxiety wondering what happened to your project. Now, Goldenmate has quite a few models, bigger ones and smaller ones. So maybe a model like the 600 VA, which I also have, would be used for your router or something like this. This model, the 1000 VA, is what I like to think of as a studio fortress. And so here I've got the Goldenmate 600 VA. And right now I've got that back here, and I've got some things plugged in. I can charge my iPad, I can charge my phone. And then I've got the 1000 VA here, and it's snowing right now. We're in the middle of a snowstorm. The electric company sent out email notices saying basically there are going to be outages. So, nice peace of mind having the Goldenmate 1000 VA under the desk. The entire setup is plugged into this. The entire setup running through these two cables. Those are power strip cables, so everything's plugged in up there. Because I'm kind of weird about cable management, I like to have everything looking nice. And then those two are plugged into the back of the 1000 VA. This is designed for heavy lifting. 1000 VA, 600 watts. It's not just a battery. It is an insurance policy for your creative work, for your income, your career. Think about that. We spend thousands of dollars on our gear, our equipment. For those of us who do a lot of work online, creative work, producing stuff, creating stuff, we spend a lot of money on things like cameras, lenses, fast computers. But then we just plug them straight into the wall where a storm can knock them out and maybe even damage them. That doesn't make sense. But the Goldenmate UPS can handle a powerful gaming PC, an editing rig, dual monitors, and your external RAID arrays without breaking a sweat. So what I'm saying is you can plug in your whole workstation, not just a few devices, your whole workstation, everything, and it just handles it. Now you may see that and go, oh, just 2 outlets. No, those are 2 power strips, and they're connected to everything in my setup. That includes 3 4K monitors, that includes a Mac Studio, that includes 3 studio lights, a bunch of peripherals. So it's not 2 things, it's many things plugged into here. So you've got 8 outlets in the back. That's 8. All 8 outlets provide both battery backup and surge protection. So that's a lot of gear that you can protect. And it has a nice LCD screen right on the front that tells you everything that you want to know, exactly how much battery is left and what the input voltage is. So there's no guessing. You're not sitting there wondering, is this thing even working? Is this doing what it's supposed to do? How much time do I have left? How quickly do I need to do this work? It's right there on the screen. You just glance at it and you know what you're dealing with. You can take care of what you need to take care of. Now, here's a cool feature that really changes the game for people like editors, people dealing with things like data servers and storage. It's something that gives you, I think, peace of mind even when you're not home. Let me give you an example scenario. I'm rendering a 4K video, something I do pretty often. It's going to take 3 hours. So I leave the house to go to the supermarket. I'm picking up groceries, eggs, cauliflower. But while I'm buying stuff, the power goes out at home. Now, if I have a dumb battery, just a regular UPS, then it'll run for 20 minutes and then die. And then click, my computer turns off, no matter what it was doing. The file might be corrupted. I come home to a computer that's off, a failed render, so wasted time that I have to now do all over. Not ideal. But the Goldenmate can communicate with your computer through the USB connection. And it's plug and play, so there's no extra software to install. When the power goes out and the battery starts running low, the UPS sends that information to your computer. Your computer's system settings can then trigger an automatic shutdown sequence that saves your work and shuts down safely. And that's the difference between losing hours of work and just being inconvenienced for a few minutes. Now, this works with NAS systems too. If you run a home server, maybe you have a Plex server, maybe a backup server, you can't have that thing just crash, and data corruption on a server can be a nightmare. There's even a small chance that you lose everything, which could be a complete disaster. This prevents that. Your smart UPS tells the NAS that the battery is low, and then the NAS shuts down cleanly, automatically. Now, you may already have a UPS or you've seen one. A lot of the older ones especially are these lead acid batteries that weigh a ton. They're like lugging around a car battery. You can barely lift it if you want to move it from one room to another. It's this huge, heavy brick that you just shove under your desk and try to forget about it. It's ugly, it's gray. Hopefully it works when I need it, I hope. But in the meantime, I'm just going to kind of forget that it exists. And, it's kind of ruining the vibe of my office. And for a lot of people, having that UPS under your desk that you haven't thought about in a while can make you a little bit nervous, a little bit of anxiety in the back of your mind, because lead acid batteries can leak, they can get hot, they can die quickly. And when they die, they just sit there doing nothing. And you might not even know until you really need it. Then the power goes out, you really need it, and it doesn't work because it's dead. But the Goldenmate uses lithium iron phosphate batteries. And honestly, that changes everything. Let's talk about longevity first. So this model, the Goldenmate 1000 VA, is rated for over 5,000 cycles, which is more than double what most lithium batteries give you. So what does that really mean? I mean, 5,000 cycles, that's a little abstract. Well, you're looking at 10 years of use, a genuine 10-year lifespan. You could do a lot of things in 10 years. You could start and retire from a professional kickboxing career in 10 years. That is a long time. The other key thing about the lithium iron phosphate batteries is the weight. The Goldenmate 1000 VA is much lighter than the competition, so you can actually move it around your house as you need to without damaging your lumbar vertebrae. And the other thing I'll just quickly mention is that it runs quite a bit cooler, and that's crucial if you have a small office. You don't want something sitting next to your desk that's generating a lot of heat. Lithium iron phosphate stays cool, and it's very stable and very safe. Just one more thing quickly. This is technical but important. This delivers clean power, exactly like what you get from the wall. If you've got high-end equipment, a high-end gaming PC, or sensitive audio gear, you need pure sine wave to prevent damage and buzzing. Some cheap UPS units use simulated sine wave, which can cause humming in speakers or even damage sensitive electronics. The Goldenmate doesn't have that. Pure, clean, can I say juicy? Juicy energy. Now, I wanted to see if the reliability of this particular model was consistent for others, so I dug into the Amazon reviews. So here are a couple of excerpts from, just reviews that I found on Amazon. One customer said, reliable power when you need it most. It runs quiet, has plenty of outlets, and the peace of mind it gives is honestly worth every penny. If you work from home, game, or just want to keep your internet running during storms, this is a solid investment. And then on the NAS feature, someone said, protected my NAS from power outages. It doesn't have enough power to run my device through a long power outage, but it gives me enough time to shut everything down safely and not lose my data. And someone else said its value comes from size, weight, battery life, aesthetics. If size, weight, and convenience are of value to you, then this unit is worth the extra cost. So I've been calling this the Studio Fortress, and that kind of sounds like hyperbole a bit, maybe. But I don't think I'm overselling it. And to prove my point, I will tell you that everything that you see on right now, except for the light behind me, everything that you see right now, that I'm using right now, my computer, my lights, my monitors, everything is plugged into my Goldenmate 1000 VA UPS. And that's everything I need to record this video running without issue, running perfectly, in this case, just to prove a point. The point that you can run a studio during a power outage if you really need to. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to, you can see the lights are on in here. Well, I'll step back in a second. We're going to simulate an outage. I'm going to unplug the power from the back of this, and we'll see what happens. Let's see how it goes. Unplug. All right, I heard a beep. What does that beep mean? It is unplugged. Yeah, we're on battery power. Let me zoom out here. Computer's on, lights are on, full blast. Can I say that? Everything's on, no issues. All right, so here we go. Still unplugged here. This is 25 minutes, about 25 minutes after unplugging it. Computer's still on, no issues. Everything's running. So, and that's a pretty intense workload. That's everything. Monitors, lights, camera, computer. Absolutely everything. So I would say test very much passed. Very cool. Part of that peace of mind is being able to look at the screen and seeing the meter, seeing how much battery is left and how quickly it's going down, right? Everything is perfectly stable. Visually, you have a sense of, oh, okay, I know what's happening. And how long have I been recording? I don't know. A while, long enough to make this video. So I think that's pretty impressive, and I think it's a good stress test and a good way to prove the point. Studio Fortress? I think so. So for me, the days of sitting there in the dark in a storm, wondering if all my work has been lost, are over. I'm not going to deal with that anymore, and you shouldn't have to deal with it either. Don't wait until you lose an important project file to realize, oh yeah, I did need that. Oops. Check it out now, the Goldenmate 1000 VA UPS, and get that peace of mind.